Unless you've been living under a rock for like the past month, then you probably know what Genshin Impact is. And if you don't, get out from under that rock. I love Breath of the Wild. If anyone knows me, they'll know that I love Breath of the Wild. I've played Breath of the Wild for like I would say close to 300 hours, and I'm not tired of it. I still play it from time to time. So when I heard that there was this free to play mobile game that looked like Breath of the Wild and played like Breath of the Wild with all Breath of the Wild's key mechanics and even some of Breath of the Wild's animations, I decided to get the game. When the game released, about yeah, I think I got the game on the same day. It's on the same day it's released. I downloaded it. So we don't have Wi-Fi in the house, so I use my own data to download it. Well, like, I mean, they kind of trick you into thinking it's about 1 gig. I think, or was it even? I think it was megabytes. So they kind of trick you into thinking it's 1 gigabyte, and then you download it, and then you realize, oh my god, 6 gigabytes. But I said, whatever. I'm still going to download it because I mean it's Breath of the Wild, but like an RPG. It's like an RPG Breath of the Wild. So I definitely was going to get it. So I spent like my nights. I used the night bundles. I spent my night downloading Genshin, and I decided to play. I hooked up my controller. I hooked up my DualShock to my phone, and 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 then I realized that it wasn't working. My controller wasn't working. So I thought it was a bug or something. I thought I had done something wrong. So I checked on the internet, and Genshin Impact mobile version does not have controller support. And it was actually very shocking because this game came out on the PS4. So it's not like they have the buttons already mapped. They already have it mapped. All they had to do was, I don't know, write some new code so that it can be applied to the mobile version. I'm not really a coder, so I'm not really a programmer, so I don't know how this works. But I don't think it'll be that hard because I mean if you already have the layouts and the UI tied to controls, to PS4 controls, it's not that hard porting that to mobile. I think in theory it's not as hard as building it from scratch. So I didn't understand why they did that. I mean, on the PC version you have controller support. The PlayStation is a controller based console, so you have controller support there. So why not on mobile? It's actually very shocking to me. So I started thinking, why does Genshin Impact not have controller support on mobile? Was it a mistake or an oversight? I don't know. It couldn't have been a mistake because if it was a mistake, they would have patched it up because if they've released a number of patches since the game came out and none of them have been controller support. And I just don't get it. You have such a big game, a big triple A game, and then there's no controller support. Well, okay, it's not really triple A, but I mean it's triple A in terms of what the studio has done in the past. So yeah, whatever, a big triple A game, and there's no controller support. I mean, I understand if there isn't controller support for some type of games like Assassin's Creed Rebellion, which is just tapping, you just tap, so that's fine. It's 10 base, so it's fine. But you have a game like Genshin Impact where you have like intense battles and you have to move the camera around to see. Well, I mean the battles can become very intense. Your screen is just filled with explosions, and sometimes as you're playing on mobile and then you have to juggle moving the camera, moving. Oh my goodness, it's a lot of stress. Sometimes you want to attack and then you end up jumping, or you want to sprint and then you end up attacking, or you end up doing nothing because you're not actually pressing the right. It's just baffling. That's a game as big like this, as this a game with such complex controls doesn't have it has such a complex control scheme and it does not have controller support. It's maddening. So I decided to come up with a theory. I don't know if it's a real theory or it's actually feasible. I don't know, but I'm going to stick with it. So bear with me. So Genshin Impact is a gacha game. This is apparently a Japanese term for gambling. I'm not quite sure, but it's a gacha game. So what this means is that you grind for in-game currency, and then you spend that in-game currency on wishes, which is just a fancy way of saying gambling. And those wishes, you have a very very small chance of netting 5-star characters and 5-star weapons, but mostly you just get 4-star characters and 4-star weapons. So yeah, you're gambling. Or if you don't want to grind, you can just buy the in-game currency. But yeah, you're it's pretty much gambling. So yes, so it's a gambling game, but it's free to play. So it's actually your choice if you want to gamble on the money your mother gave you for, your school fees, or you want to just grind and waste your time, the time you could be using for an assignment or something, on the game, just to gamble it away and not even get the character you wanted to get. It's entirely up to you. It's a fun game, yeah, but that mechanic is very annoying. Anyway, I'm ranting over here. So yes, I checked out the developers. I can't really pronounce their name, so I'm not going to try. They are actually they've actually made about 5 other games or 4 other games on, and most of them were on mobile. I think the last game they made before Genshin Impact was another Impact game. I think. Let me. Honkai Impact Third. That was the game they made before, and then that was the first they released on Windows, on PC. So before they had Android games, and then they released the Honkai Impact on PC, and then this Genshin Impact is their first release on a console. So it's their first AAA title, if you want to call it that. Yeah. So my theory is that because it's a gacha game, they need people to spend money on this game, right? And then because most of their audience has been mobile, they get more of their money from mobile. Because think about it, you have a lot of PC games that are actually good. You spend like $5 on them or $10. You can get a lot of good indie games on Steam. $5 for like $10. And then that's it. You get a great game that you can play to your heart's content and not worry about loot boxes. Or you can get a $60 game with loot boxes. Or you can get The Witcher and just have fun with it. So yeah. So with PC, I don't think they really had like that great of an audience there as they did on mobile, because mobile, wow, mobile, all games are most of the games you get are free to play, and then they all have this, most of them have this gambling system or the battle pass system or something. So mobile, yeah, there's, so this is sort of the norm on mobile. So there's not really anything there, but on PC, where this isn't the norm, you have a lot of competition. So I mean, why would I get a game where I have to gamble for characters when I can get another game for like $10 and unlock all the characters, I guess. And that game was probably even better. So yeah. So I think this is why they decided to go with the Breath of the Wild marketing, so that you get a lot of people interested in, and it worked. I mean, people actually got interested in the game because of Breath of the Wild, because it looked like Breath of the Wild. And then they found that other parts of the game which were unique, like it's mostly the combats. That's where it shines. Most, like, if you take the combat out, they have nothing. So mostly the combat, yeah. Yeah, so you have the combats and then the Breath of the Wild aesthetic. I mean, I was willing to deal with the obnoxious anime girls for the combats, and actually it was because it looks like Breath of the Wild. That's the fact. It looks like Breath of the Wild. That's why I got it. I just skipped through the anime girls. I hate them. I really hate the anime girls. Even though I like anime, I hate the anime girls. Yeah. So anyway, what was I saying? Something about mobile. Uh, so this console audience and this new PC audience, they are actually very new. I don't think the developers knew that the game was going to blow up and become this big, that it was going to be well liked by console fans and then PC fans. They Because I mean, if you look at the release of the game, there was a lot of backlash concerning the fact that it was a Breath of the Wild ripoff, which it is. And yeah, there was a lot of backlash, and then, I mean, you had people breaking their consoles in anger. I don't see what that accomplishes, but yeah, they did that, and yeah, so I'm sure they thought, well, at least if we don't get the PlayStation audience and the PC audience, we always have mobile. So here, so they thought that. So I think that they believe that the mobile is where they'll get most of their money from because it's free to play, and then you you actually rely on wishes to get the characters that you want. So I believe that since they assumed that most of the audience was coming from the mobile, or most of the audience will be on mobile, and most of their revenue will come from the mobile, the best way to ensure that revenue is to make the game hard, but not too hard. So let me explain. The controls are trash. When you're fighting, and then you have to juggle the camera, and at the same time fights on mobile, it is trash. Sometimes you and it's sometimes unresponsive, so you press sprint while you're supposed to dodge like an attack, and then you end up jumping and other stuff. So the controls are hard. If they added a controller to as in if they added controller support to the game, it will be easier. It will be so much easier. And then you have to also take into consideration a lot of mobile gamers aren't really hardcore. I mean, there are a lot of there are some hardcore mobile gamers, but most of them don't actually play like PC games or console games and stuff like that. So they are used to like easier. They are used to easier games. I mean, a lot of mobile games you just tap 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 tap. So you have this awesome, amazing game with a complex control scheme that does not offer controller support, and it's harder. It's like two times harder on mobile. It's you should play when you play it on mobile, and then you are actually. I actually don't like grinding, so I actually um I don't like grinding. Okay, so I actually fight a lot of enemies that are above me in level, and it's difficult. It's not difficult because I don't know how to play it. It's difficult because I'm trying to dodge and then I'm jumping. That's why. I fight, and then I actually don't know where my enemy is, and then decide to when I decide to go, I actually don't know where my enemy is, and when I decide to turn the camera to find my enemy, I I mistakenly press the attack button. I mistakenly press the sprint button. I mistakenly press one of my teammates. Yeah, it's difficult to play with it's difficult to play on mobile. So that's why I believe they didn't add controller support to make it more difficult for gamers on mobile. Because if the game is more difficult, you want to spend currency to get to pull higher level characters, or to pull higher level weapons, so to pull 5-star weapons, to pull 5-star characters. So yes, they intentionally didn't add controller support because they wanted to make the game harder on mobile. Now if they make the game harder on mobile, the first thing is that they people will want to spend currency on 5-star characters, or on 5-star weapons, or to level up their characters, or to ascend their characters, to make it easier for them. Because if the controls are not working for them, then maybe the system or the stats will work out for them instead. So if the game is harder, obviously people are going to spend more money, and I think it's just a devious way to get money. This game is already very gambly. I mean, I've been playing this game for hours and I haven't even gotten one 5-star character. My luck is crap. So imagine playing on mobile where the game is like two times harder. And yeah, obviously you'll want to spend money to get new characters and stuff like that. So that's why I believe the developers did not add controller support to the mobile version. If you have any other theories, you can talk about them. You can tell me in the comment section. And to all the mobile gamers who are scared of breaking their phones, just pray. Maybe they'll release a new update. You know, the rumored updates that people have been talking about. Maybe in the new rumored updates, they'll actually release, I don't know, controller support for mobile. So pray. But don't get your hopes up because genuinely believe they just did it to make it harder for us mobile gamers. Well, I'm not a mobile gamer, so I don't know why it said us. But I do play Genshin Impact on mobile because it's easier for me to do. And also laptops take like a lot of data. And yeah. Maybe they'll release controller support for mobile. Let's just keep our hands closed and see what happens. Alright, so we're done here. And give me a like if you like the video. You want to see more like it. Hit the notification bell and please subscribe. I'll post out other runs videos, I guess. I don't know. Ugh. Subscribe or don't. It's entirely up to you. I'll see you next time.